5 props in 60 seconds. I have 5 NFL plays for Sunday's slate in this video, and then I have 60 seconds to try to convince you guys to put your hard-earned money on the plays. I really like the video. I like the plays. We're sweeping the board. If you are new, my name's Austin from Calling Our Shot. Thank you for tuning in. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. On Thursday, I already recapped this in a previous video. We went 2-0. We're trying to sweep the board once again on Sunday. It was a little sweaty, I won't lie to you, but we'll take the 2-0 and we'll move on into Sunday where we have a lot of picks. Now, in this video, I have 5 picks, but in another video I posted on Saturday around noontime, I have 3 more picks, including a parlay and my anytime touchdown parlay of the week. I encourage you to check that out. It includes my Lions SGP. We've printed on those, so go check that video out. I'll link it at the top of the description, but don't check it out now. Check it out at the end of this video. We're going to hopefully sweep the board this weekend, and I love the slate we got cooked up for you. My last note before we dive into these 5 plays is Sleeper has the best offer I've ever seen from a daily fantasy app. Now, daily fantasy might not be available in your state, but it's available in a ton of different US states. And their offer right now is if you sign up using my code COS or the link in the description, you will get a dollar for dollar, 100% match up to $1,500. So if you went in there and you were like, I'm going to deposit $500, boom, they hit you with another 500. Now you got 1,000. You deposit up to 1,500. You have 3,000. Now I'm not saying to do 1,500. That's a lot of money. But hey, they're doubling your money up to 1,500. I encourage you to check it out. I don't know how long that offer lasts. I got confirmation that it lasts through this weekend. Could it be gone on Sunday at midnight? Maybe. So take advantage if you ever want to sign up for Sleeper. Use my code COS. They'll also give you the CJ Stroud free square to use on Sunday Night Football for him to get 1 yard. That's literally free. So check it out. Sleeper, great time to do it. You just have to, I think, play through the money once to get it all back. So hey, check it out. Sleeper, code COS, top link in description. Let's dive into the picks though today. No more promoting that hoopla. We got 5 picks. We'll dive into the first one. Calvin Ridley, under 4.5 receptions, minus 115 on Bet365. We're starting with a spicy under, not my only under of this video. Now, I would take this up to about minus 130. I went back and forth on taking his under in receptions or yards. Now, the premise of this video, I have 60 seconds when I start my analysis, which starts right now. Now, coming into this game, Ridley's coming off 2 great weeks. 10 receptions for 143 yards against the Lions, 5 for 73 against the New England Patriots. However, this is a tough matchup for him. The Chargers, 2nd fewest receptions allowed to wide receivers, 7th fewest yards in case you want to fade him on the yards as well. Only 5 wide receivers have 5 receptions against the Chargers this year, and actually 2 of them were last week for the Browns, and they threw it 46 times. I don't anticipate the now Will Levis-led Titans offense to be throwing it 46 times. Will Levis's pass attempts line 30.5. Like I said, Will Levis now starting at QB. These 2 guys have never been in sync all season long, and now he's coming back in with a shoulder injury. Count me out. Chargers, 3rd highest rate of too high coverage. Why is that important? Ridley sees his target share drop to 15% versus too high coverage. I hate this spot for him. I would double him if I were the Chargers for someone else on that offense of the Titans to beat you, and I don't think they will. So again, first pick in the video, Calvin Ridley, under 4.5 receptions. If his yards cashes and not the receptions, I'll be in shambles, but Ridley's mostly a down the field threat, so he could easily get 2 or 3 receptions, go over yards, but go under receptions. I think receptions is the better play. Second play, we have another under. Cade Otton of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the tight end, under 60.5 receiving yards, minus 125 on Fanatics. I'd play it down to about 55.5. Hopefully I haven't lost you in a couple unders, but we have to remind ourselves there's plenty more ways to cash an under than there are to cash an over. Do I like watching games with unders on the line? Heck no. But I love these spots. You know I don't take a ton of unders, so when I see ones that I think have a lot of value and I think are winners, I give them to you guys, and they normally, knock on wood, cash. Hopefully this one does as well. Start my timer. And obviously has been a stud for the Buccaneers, who will be without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Why the heck are we fading him? I think it's a perfect spot. Otton's last 3 games, 181 and 77 yards, but he faced the Ravens, Falcons, and the Chiefs. The Chiefs and the Ravens, top 3 for tight ends in terms of giving up the most yards. So he's had perfect matchup. The Falcons are about middle of the pack. This is the toughest matchup he will see, arguably this season. He will likely draw the shadow from Fred Warner, an elite coverage linebacker for the 49ers this season. 49ers, 5th fewest receiving yards to tight ends, a 2nd lowest receiving yards per reception. So really, they've been tight on those guys. The only 2 tight ends to hit this over against the San Francisco 49ers, Noah Gray, Noah Fant. Unless Cade Otton comes into this game with a new name and he's Noah Otton, he ain't going over. But joking aside, I hate this spot for him. We saw them limit Travis Kelce to 17 yards. He's their number 1 guy. They'll try to take him away for someone else to beat him. I really think this one is a sneaky one. I think people will look at that and be like, oh, 3 straight. Let's count his over again. Let's take his over in receptions. Terrible spot for Kate Otton. Give me his under 60.5 receiving yards. Minus 125 on Fanatics for 1 unit. I'd play it to about 55.5. My third play in this video, we have an over. Fine. The over crowd, I got one for you. Now, I don't think you're going to like this one, but I think it's a winner again. I give you guys picks that I think have value. Rico Dowdle of the Dallas Cowboys over 10.5 rushing attempts, minus 125 on Bet365. I would play this at 11.5 or up to about minus 135. DraftKings had weird odds at like minus 150. Count me out there. I really like this spot though for Rico Dowdle to get 11 rush attempts. Do I think he goes over in yards at like 45.5? Hopefully, because if he goes over that, probably a good chance he gets the rushing attempts, but I like this spot here. And I'll talk about why right now. Start my timer. Last week, Ezekiel Elliott got benched due to disciplinary reasons. I expect him to play here, but again, he has not been good this year. Last week, Dowdle, 71% of snaps, 12 rushing attempts. He actually had a good game, 75 rush yards, but only 5 rush attempts in the second half due to the score. They got absolutely smoked by the Falcons, made it close late, but again, it wasn't that close of a game. Dowdle's last 4 games, 11, 25, and 12 rush attempts, so barely creeping over this line. Obviously, Dak Prescott's now out, Cooper Rush in. Do we think they're going to throw it as much? Probably not. In the last 4 Eagles games, which they have won, let's keep in mind, they've only allowed 13, 17, 12, and 20 rush attempts. Now, the 13 and 12, I kind of like, oof, what's going on there? Well, one of them, they led by 22-0 against the Jaguars. The other one was the Giants game. They won 28-3. You're not running the football if you're down 3 scores. I don't know if the Cowboys get smoked here. And I think even if they do, they're going to run the football early in this game and try to establish the run, keep the Eagles off the field. Last 6 matchups between these two teams, the Cowboys running backs have combined for those following rush attempts. So a lot of high volume for the running backs. Let's hope Mike McCarthy leans into that. They haven't had the best rushing attack this season, but I think this is a good spot. If the Cowboys go out there and 1, get blown out, or 2, let Cooper Rush throw it 45 times, so be it. I just don't see that being the recipe for success. I think they're going to have to run the football, and Rico's been their best guy. So I like his over 10.5 rush attempts. I know the Eagles have been really good lately, but this could be a slip-up spot for them. They've looked too good. And Eagles fans know when they look too good, that's when something bad happens, and losing to the Cowboys would be absolute shambles. I'm not saying it happens. I think they win. But again, it could be a little bit spicy. So give me Rico Dowdle over 10.5 rush attempts. Did I go over in time? Probably. Deal with it. I love you. My next play is going to be one that I'm sure after those 3 picks, you're like, Austin, I'm really loving the picks you got this week. But give me with another spicy one. Bijan Robinson, the Atlanta Falcons running back, under 16.5 rushing attempts. Rare that we have 2 rush attempts props back to back and in the same week. But hey, that's where we found ourselves on Sunday. This is minus 114 on FanDuel. I'd play it at 15.5. I also like his under in yards. I'll talk about why. I just know if I fade Bijan yards, I'm getting 100 plus in the first quarter, and I'm going to want to throw something. So I'll take the under in attempts, which I think is a better chance of hitting than the under in yards. Now, in 3 career games, first the New Orleans Saints, who Bijan faces on Sunday, he's had 16, 11, and 7 rush attempts. The 7 came earlier this season when the Falcons actually won that game on a walk-off field goal. This is not a great spot for him. He's actually struggled running against the Saints, only 2.5 and 4 yards per carry. The Saints coming off a game where they had to fire their head coach. So are we coming in here with some more added motivation? Maybe, hopefully. But in 9 games this season, Bijan's under this line in 6 of them. He's had 19 rush attempts versus Dallas last week. Algier only saw 6 rush attempts. He's yet to have 17 or more in back-to-back weeks, so that's on our side. They don't love to give him the rock 2 times in a row, 2 games in a row. You want to save his health for later on in the year. The Saints only are giving up 20.9 rush attempts per game, and only 3 guys have hit this over versus New Orleans. Kareem Hunt, then Saquon and J.K. Dobbins both had 17 on the dot, and neither of those 2 guys have any backup running backs to steal carries from them. So this should be a spot I think we could see a couple things go wrong. You can end my timer, but maybe, I don't know. You guys know what I mean. I think the only way Bijan goes over is if everything goes right. He runs the ball really well, the Falcons lead, everything in that. If one of these things happens where either 1, the Falcons are losing. 2, there's a defensive touchdown where the Falcons get one and they lose a possession on offense. 3, Bijan could always get injured. Don't root for that. Any of those things happen, and I don't think Bijan gets 17 rush attempts. So I think there's a lot of different outs here. I really like Bijan's under in rush attempts. Yards I like as well, but I like the rush attempts a little bit more at 16.5. And then my final play in this video is a 2-leg parlay. I saved this for last because this is an interesting one. It has an easy pivot if you're on like a FanDuel, but here it is. 2 legs. Josh Downs, the Indianapolis Colts receiver, 40 plus receiving yards, and Denver Broncos, Kansas City Chiefs race to 30, neither. Minus 109 on DraftKings. Now, Downs, his line's like 64.5. I don't hate that, but I just don't really want to play 64.5. Race to 30 neither is like minus 185. I paired them together. It's minus 109 on DraftKings for 1 unit. Now the easy FanDuel pivot, because they don't have a race to 30 neither option. Add the Chiefs team total under 29.5. Throw Josh Downs 40 plus receiving yards in there. You got about minus 125. You get to avoid the Broncos. You don't even have to worry if they score 30, whereas I kind of have to worry about that. And you're kind of in a good spot there. Let's begin with Josh Downs and why I like his matchup. Josh Downs is a slot wide receiver for the Colts. The Bills, who he will face on Sunday, have allowed the 8th most receiving yards to slot receivers in 4 games with Flacco at QB, 82, 69, 66, and 60. I think it's another great spot. They play a lot of too high coverage. You should see Josh Downs get heavily featured. Also, Michael Pittman Jr., one of their star receivers, is out. They'll have to pass it to Downs. Also, don't mind Jonathan Taylor's over in yards. Let's move to the race to 30 neither. We need neither of these two teams in the Broncos and Chiefs game to score 30. They could score 28 to 27 for all they care. Neither team could score 30. Chiefs scored 30 points in only one game this season. That was last week. They scored 30 plus 3 times last season. The Broncos defense has only allowed 30 points once this season. That was also last week. The Broncos offense has had some high scoring games. This is a tough spot for them. The Chiefs have not allowed a single opponent since the beginning of last year to score 30 points on them. Neither has cashed in 6 of the last 7. Hey, I think this is a great spot to back this weirdo parlay. I know it's weird. We're wrapping up the video with a weird one, but I really think this is a winner. Josh Downs should get us 40, and I don't see either team scoring 30 in that Broncos-Chiefs game. I think it's tight. As long as we don't get some defensive touchdowns, some weirdo things, the Chiefs, basically every drive they score is like an 18-minute drive. They're taking out for a whole quarter. I love this one. Minus 109 for 1 unit. That is a winner. Those are my 5 favorite picks in this video. Reminder, 2 reminders. Sign up for Sleeper using my code COS. $1 for $1, 100% match up to $1,500 plus a CJ Stroud free square. Code COS or the link in the description. Number 2 videos popping up on the screen. One is our favorite spreads, money lines, totals. The other one, more interesting probably, check out the parlays, more props that we really like for Sunday slate. Good luck on all your picks. Let's have a great day, and I'll see you guys on Monday Night Football with another video. See you then. Peace.